Howdy, Tammy here, and we're going to give this video class a whirl and see how it goes. Hopefully there won't be too many tech challenges. The class I decided on was money saving sketches, which a lot of you took many times over many years, but it was always a popular class. The concept is you gather one set of supplies, you cut once, but you end up with two-page layouts. So that's helpful if you scrapbook for 2 children like I do and you need 2 layouts. Also, maybe you have 2 different events that have similar color schemes, so having two-page layouts at once is helpful. Or maybe you just need more than one 2-page layout for a particular event. So that's the concept, and let me tell you what you're going to need. You need 4 pieces of background paper. It could be printed, could be cardstock, they can all be the same, they can be different, but if you choose pattern paper, it needs to be something with a very, very small pattern like this dot pattern. The next thing you need are 2 cardstocks for mats. All of your photos should look good on both papers because your photos are going to go directly on these, okay? And again, if you choose a printed paper, it should be something with a very, very minimal print, just kind of an all-over muted design like this is. And finally, you need 2 pieces of printed paper. Again, these shouldn't have too big of a design on them because it might not look good depending on how it's cut. So again, try to choose some papers that have kind of smaller patterns on them, nothing with huge designs on it. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go and find the link for the directions and click on it. It'll take you to a PDF file, so you'll be able to download and print off the directions, and you'll have all the cutting directions and the photos and the sketches, so you'll be able to see what we're doing. As far as other supplies, you need a tape runner to adhere to your photos. Of course, you can also use this for your paper, but most of you know my favorite paper glue is zip dry because it gives you time to move things or lift it up if you make a mistake, and if there's any residue, it just rubs off like a glue gun. So it's real easy to use. It's my favorite paper glue. And then you need your paper trimmer because obviously we're going to be cutting our own papers. And then the last thing you need to do is gather up your sets of photos. And when you download the sketches, you'll be able to see how many horizontal and how many vertical you need on each sketch. Okay, so at this point, hit pause, go gather up your supplies, print off your directions, and come back, and I'll show you how to cut and put them all together. Okay, see you in a few. Hi guys, you're back. So hopefully that means you've printed out your directions and you have gathered your supplies. So let's start. Your 4 background papers, you don't need to do anything with, okay? So just set those aside for now. And you are going to select the paper that you want to be the pink mats in the sketch. Okay, if you look at the sketch, you see the pink areas. That is the letter B, and that is what we're going to cut first, okay? So you need 4 4x6s and 2 4x4s. So to do that, you're going to start by cutting 3 4x12 strips, okay? So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, okay? So I've got 3 4x12 strips. I need to cut 2 of them in half to get my 2 4x6s, okay? So there's 1, there's 2, okay? So there's my 4 4x6 mats. And then I need 2 4x4s. So I'm just going to cut this other 4x12. I'm going to cut 2 4x4s off of it. There's 1. There's 2. I will have 1 4x12 left over, but there's my 2 4x4s. Okay, so B is all cut. So the next thing you need is C. and that is the green mats that you see in the sketch. Okay, so for that, we need 5 4x6s and 1 4x4. Okay, so again, just like before, we are going to cut 3 4x12 strips to start. Okay, now that I've got that, I'm going to cut all 3 in half. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I needed 5 4x6s. There are those. And I need 1 4x4. So I'm going to take that, one of my 4x6 pieces, and I'm going to trim it. Oops, I'm going to try to trim it to 4x4. Okay, so there's my 5 4x6s and my 1 4x4. So now C is all cut. Now for D, that is going to be the first step, is going to be the blue in the sketch. So you do need to pay attention to what direction, look at the blue and see how you want your paper to run. If you want it up and down or vertical, horizontal. Some pieces might run back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden my trimmer got out of whack, but I'm back. Sorry. So I am going to cut a 7-inch strip. Okay, and then I need a 7x8 and a 4x7. So to do that, I'm just going to cut at 8 inches. I think I'm having some challenges because my table has a little give to it. So there's my 7x8. There's my 4x7. And then I have this 5x12 left, and I need to trim it down to 10 by 4.5. So let's chop it at 10 inches. Oh, I want the green. Let's chop it this way. So first we're going to cut it down to 10 inches. Okay. Oh my goodness. I like this new trimmer, but if the table has any give at all to it, it tends to not want to cut in the middle, I have found. So I'm having a little bit of trimmer challenges, I'm sorry. So first I've cut it down to 10, and okay, so now I need to take that 5-inch strip and trim it down to 4.5. Okay, so there is my 10 by 4.5. So I'm done with that printed paper. And then the next printed paper is going to be the purple in the sketch. And that is the letter E. And so I need a 6x12, a 10x2, and an 8x1.5. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the paper in half. Okay, I want the pattern running up and down. So I'm going to cut it here. Okay, so there's my 6x12. And then I need a 10x2 and an 8x1.5. So I'm simply going to cut a 2-inch piece first. Then I'm going to cut a 1.5-inch piece. Okay, I'm going to trim the 1.5-inch piece to 8 inches. And I'm going to trim the 2-inch piece down to 10 inches. Okay, so just like that, you are all done trimming, and this is the only waste you have. Okay, not very much considering we're getting 2 layouts out of that. We just have a little bit of paper left over, make a nice card. Okay, so now that we have it all cut, we're going to start laying it out. Okay. Okay, so we're going to gather the pieces that we need for sketch 1. Okay, so following the sketch and paying attention to what colors you used, we're going to need whatever your B was, a 4x6 for page 1. We need the C, 4x6 and 4x4. Those are both your mats. We need the printed paper, 10.5 by 4.5. That is whatever D was. And then we need the 10 by 2, that's E. That's for page 1. For page 2, we need the B, the pink 4x6. You need 2 of your C 4x6s. You need your 7x8 printed paper, and you need your 1.5 by 8 printed paper E. That's the purple. Okay, so we're going to start assembling. The first thing we're going to do is put down printed paper D. That's your 10 by 4.5, and it goes a couple inches, probably about 1.5 inches down from the page. And then you're going to take your 10 by 2 of E. That's the purple in the sketch. And it's going to go just a hair up from the bottom. We may adjust these a bit, but if you'll notice, both of them are right at the edge of the paper. Okay? Then we're going to put on our B, our 4x6 mat. It goes about like that. And then we have our C, 4x6, and that lines up with the edge of this one, the other mat. And then you have your 4x4 of C, and that overhangs the strip just a little bit, okay? And then we're going to start over here. Your spacing for your printed paper is going to depend on this mat right here, this B, the pink. It is going to line up even with this edge, and it should end up a little bit below this printed paper, okay? And then you're going to take your printed paper 7x8, and it should run even with this one on page 1, okay? So just take a ruler, make sure that the top edge is even, okay? Then you're going to take your C 4x6, that's your green, and it lines up right even with this one, okay? The bottom and the side are even. And then you have your other 4x6 C, and that is going to run right next to this one, okay? Oops, this one should have been up against the edge. I said it was over a little bit. These are both up against the edge. And then we're going to slip this little piece, this E 8.5, 8 by 1.5. It goes even with the printed paper here and just a little bit under that mat, okay? And then we're done with sketch 1. Once you're happy with all the spacing, go ahead and glue everything down, okay? And that'll finish sketch 1, and then we'll move on to sketch 2. Okay, we're back. We're ready to start sketch 2, and even though I double-checked everything and thought I had everything correct and taken care of, I noticed a little teeny strip of blue on page 2 of sketch 2, and realized that when we cut that 10 by 4.5, we should have first cut a 1/2 by 12-inch strip off of there to get that piece. But what you do have is you do have a 10 by 1/2 piece in your scraps. Just cut it apart at 4 inches, and when we put it on the layout, the mat will cover it and you won't see where it's separated. I will correct those directions, and I apologize for that, so you'll be able to cut it correctly next time. So what we need for sketch 2 is we need our D 4x7 printed paper. We need our C 4x6 mat. Out of B, we need a 4x4 and a 4x6. That'll all be for page 1. Then for page 2, we need our E 6x12. We need a C 4x6, and we need a B 4x4 and 4x6. We'll also need that little 1/2-inch strip I was telling you about. Okay, so let's start on page 1. You're going to line these up right up next to the edge. The 4x4 comes maybe 1.5 inches down from the top. And then we have our 4x6. Okay. Our 4x7 printed paper is going to go right next to those. And then we have our 4x6 mat of C. It is going to go about 1/2 inch down from the printed paper, and it's going to butt right up next to those mats. Okay. And then on page 2, we have our big 6x12 strip. It goes just a hair away from the edge, probably about a 1/4 inch. And then we're going to take that strip, and it lines up just about 1/8 inch away from the 6x12, and put a piece at the bottom, the longer piece at the bottom, and the shorter piece up at the top. And again, I apologize for that, but it'll work out all right. And then you're going to take your C 4x6, sorry, that's the wrong one, C 4x6. It goes a little higher than that 4x4, and it comes a little off the page, about 1/8 inch. Then you're going to take your B 4x4, and this is where it's going to cover that little gap there, and it lines up even with this mat. And then you have your last mat at the bottom, and it should line up with the bottom of the mat on page 1. So we may have to adjust just a little bit. Let me pull this mat down just a tad so that it meshes. Okay, so we're going to glue all that down, and then we will be ready for our photos. So you should have your papers all adhered and ready to go for sketch 1 and 2. So we're going to start with sketch 1 and select your photos for your layout. Then you'll need to trim them down so that they'll fit on the mats. For the 4x6s, you need to trim to 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. For the 4x4, you'll need to trim to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 square. Okay, so I decided on my photos and I already trimmed them. So I'm going to lay them out, and then I'll be ready to adhere them. Don't want that one there, don't want that one. I think I'm going to change this one. It is Drew's birthday. No, I'll leave that one. It is Drew's birthday. All right. So I have my photos all arranged and I'm ready to adhere them. You will notice I am missing one photo here. I didn't have enough for this layout, so I thought that'd be a great place to journal. Okay, so just go ahead and add a little adhesive to the back of your photos and start adhering them. Okay, so there's my photos for sketch 1. Go ahead and do yours, and then we'll work on sketch 2. All right, just hit pause and come back. All right, now we're all ready to go on sketch 2, and again, crop your photos to fit your mats. One thing I didn't talk about is sometimes your photos may need to be cropped smaller, so you could maybe fit, crop and fit 2 photos vertically or 2 photos horizontally. Okay, so feel free to adapt how your photos will fit. I've got mine ready. So let's see how I'm going to lay these out. And Drew, with a wicked looking knife that he got for his birthday. These are awesome birthday pictures, aren't they? Both boys are into Damascus steel, and so they have been collecting knives, and my brother has been buying them for them. They have these really intricate, awesome hilts, not to mention wicked looking blades, but that's what they like. That's what they've got. So this is what I've got for birthday photos. Okay. So again, crop your photos, figure out how you want to lay them out, and go ahead and adhere them. And then after that, you need to kind of look around and figure out what embellishments you have to go on these. I'm sure y'all all have chipboard letters or sticker letters, little quote squares, journaling blocks, any kind of embellishments you want to add. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to look around and find some embellishments and some letters and things to finish off these layouts. This is the basic layouts are done. We just need to zhuzh them up a little bit. So let's take a break while you gather supplies, and when you come back, I'll show you my finished layouts. See you in a bit. Okay, I'm back. I finished embellishing my layouts, and hopefully you looked around your craft room and found some items to embellish your layouts with. I started with this little embellishment that I had, say cheese. It was part of my set, and then I used some washi tape just to add a little trim, and then I added a little washi tape over here down the side just to kind of tie in the rainbow that's in my printed paper. And then I used some sticker letters and some chipboard letters, and I'm sure some of you all recognize these. These are not new. These have been laying around my studio quite a while, so it's always nice to use something old. So again, I took some washi tape. I thought the title would be fun on an angle. So remember, I had that extra block to use because I didn't have a photo for it. You could also put the title down the side. That's what it suggested in the sketch. But since I had an extra block, I thought I might journal on it, but then I decided I'd rather have my title here, because on page 2, I found this cute little journal block, and I liked how it fit in there. And again, I just added a little washi tape trim and a little washi tape over there. I love my washi tape. Some of y'all know how big my collection is. So again, balance-wise, I felt like since I had something up here, I needed something down here to balance. So that's why I put my little embellishment there and added my journaling block there. And that's all I did. Just some old stickers, some old chipboard, a few embellishments, and some washi tape. And that one is done. Now for sketch 2, I embellished mine. I'll show you what I did. And I have a hint. My kit came with some little flags, and I also used some of my scraps that were left over to make a few more flags. And sometimes you don't want to line them up straight. Sometimes you want to kind of put them on a little angle, a little jaunty angle, just for something different. And if you try to trim them and fit them, it's kind of hard. But if you just glue them down and then turn it over and take a pair of scissors and trim off the excess flags, you get that angle really quick. You can also do that with banners. If you want your banners to be all different lengths, instead of trying to cut them to the length you want and then maybe having them too short or too long and having to recut, just cut them all the same length and then arrange them to where they stick off the top. And then you can set the banners to the lengths you want, just glue them down, and then when you're all done, just trim along the top. That makes it a lot easier. So since I wanted to add these little banners up here that I just showed y'all how to cut, that I needed, again, something down here to balance it. I just, you know, you've got this balance thing, you have things in threes. So I've got my banners here. I added some stickers for my title. Again, I'm sure some of y'all have these laying around or something similar. So I added happy in the small letters right there, and then I added birthday in the big letters, and I outlined it. And then I just have my journaling block here that I accented with a little washi tape. So again, I've got kind of that trio thing going, 1, 2, 3, and I feel like I'm balanced with something here and something there. So your embellishments don't have to be elaborate, just a little something something to jazz it up a little bit. And you do want to add titles and journaling blocks to finish your layouts. So that is it. We are done. All right, that's it. If you followed along, you should end up with your two-page layouts. And if you don't mind sharing them, I would absolutely love to see them. Just shoot me an email, and also let me know if it's okay to share them on my Facebook page or on my blog, because I would like to do that. Also, if you have any criticisms, critiques, suggestions, hints, anything, feel free to forward those as well. I'm very comfortable in front of a classroom, but I am not so comfortable in front of a camera. So I am interested in doing more online classes. I think it's a great way to reach some of you that don't live near me but are interested in taking some of my classes. So we'll see how this goes. It's a little experiment, working on my tech. Let's see if I can get it all together. But anyway, y'all stay safe while we're having this stay inside time, and maybe you can use it to get some extra crafting done. I will see y'all later. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.